Poupon? Poupon? Mustard? Hi everybody, my name is Brittany and welcome to PrettyInPoupons. Most of you I'm sure are wondering, what the hell is a poupon anyway? My dad's side of the family is French Canadian, and poupons were what we always called knit or crochet slippers. It's been about 20 years since I've worn a poupon, but the name itself still evokes this feeling of warmth and comfort and home, which is in large part why I decided to name my crochet design line after them. Like most people over the past year, I've been seeking out things that bring me comfort, and I thought a great way to do that would be to make a pair of poupons. So, like any good crocheter, I started seeking out a pattern. First, I tried Ravelry and Etsy. No luck. Then Pinterest and Google, and still nothing. After a bit of digging, I found out why. It turns out that poupon is a slang term. And it's not just French Canadian slang, it is slang specific to people of French Canadian descent in Eastern Connecticut, where I'm originally from. And most of the population of Eastern Connecticut does fall under the French Canadian descent headline, but that still only works out to about 37 or so people. So I knew finding a pattern was going to be near impossible. Going back to the drawing board, I reached out to my meme, or grandmother, and my aunt to see if either of them had a pair of poupons. And I was hoping that if I had a picture, I could reverse engineer a pattern. But neither of them had them. Their poupons had originally been made by their mother or grandmothers respectively, and they'd worn out after years of use. No one in my family had them, so again it was back to the drawing board. And I was kind of working solely off this memory and this feeling that really couldn't be described or charted or patterned. And in some ways that was really freeing because I could do whatever I wanted, but I still wanted to hold true to the initial intent. And I think after some trial and error, I found exactly that. So let's make a pair. Because the word poupon always invokes this really warm feeling of coziness, I opted for number 6 super bulky yarn to get that nice, warm, thick, squishy, cozy feeling. In this case, it's the Lion brand Wool Ease Thick and Quick. This is the colorway Bluegrass, and the project took 2 skeins of yarn. I'm also using a 9mm crochet hook. So we begin by chaining 18. Because of the super bulky weight yarn, the project has a lot of stretch, so it will accommodate most feet size. If you happen to have a particularly small foot or a very large foot, you may want to chain a few more or less depending on what you're looking for, but we did find that this will accommodate up to my boyfriend's very big masculine foot quite comfortably. So we're going to start by doing a half double crochet in the second chain from the hook and half double crochet across. So that's a total of 16 half double crochets. Once you've got your 16 half double crochet across, you're going to chain 2 and turn. This chain 2 does not count as a half double crochet and will not throughout the pattern. From there, you're going to half double crochet in the back loop only. So you get your 2 loops. You're going to do the back one, and you're going to do that across. So 16 half double crochet in the back loop only. Once you've reached the end of your row, you're going to go ahead and repeat 2 chain, turn, and half double crochet in the back loop only across. You're going to continue this pattern for a total of 14 rows. And again, if you have a particularly small or narrow foot or wider or taller foot, you can go ahead and increase or decrease the number of rows appropriately. But we'll see you at 14 rows. So now that we have our 14 rows, we're going to go ahead and start constructing the toe. So at the end of the 14th row, don't bind off. Instead, you're going to turn your work so the long side is across. You're going to go ahead and chain 1. You're going to crochet into the side of the last row just made, and you're going to crochet 2 into the first stitch. You're going to crochet across until we get to the end, and then 2 there. So we have a total of 16 stitches across the side of the row. Okay, so you can see that we have 16 single crochet across the side. And it's already starting to curve in a little bit, which is okay. That's what we want it to do. So from here, you're going to go ahead and chain 1 and turn. And then what you're going to do is single crochet 2 together across the row. So you're going to go from 16 stitches down to 8. So single crochet 1, and what we're doing is just dividing that in half. And once we've reached the end of this row, we're going to repeat and do the same thing. So I'm going to chain 1 and turn, and then single crochet 2 together across the row. So we'll end up with 4. And again, once you've reached the end of this row, you're going to go ahead and chain and turn, and you've guessed it, single crochet 2 together, so we end up with 2 stitches, chain, and single crochet 2 together to end up with 1 last stitch. Okay, so now that we have our work together, you're going to go ahead and chain 1, and then you're going to turn the work again so the original working rows are across, and fold it in half. So you can see we've made this nice rounded toe box, and we'll come back up where these rows meet. So you're going to go ahead and we're going to slip stitch across the first 4 rows, or the last 4 rows we just made in this decrease row. And then when we get back up to this top row here, we're going to single crochet the first 6 stitches together. So you can see here, we've crocheted, and it's going to look a little nubbly, but that's okay. This is going to go inside. So we've crocheted a slip stitch across the toe and up across, leaving 10 stitches unworked. You're then going to go ahead, trim, and bind off. Okay, so once you have your toe sewn up and across the 10, you're actually going to go ahead and turn your work again, and you're going to have your open flap to the left here, and at that corner you're going to go ahead and cast on with a slip stitch, and you're going to slip stitch across the back. Okay, and I've gone ahead and slip stitch across the back with a join. I would have shown you, but it turns out there's no way I can do this without being directly over the project. So from here, you're going to go ahead and chain 1. Now you're not going to bind off, but you are going to turn your work inside out so that all those seams that you just made are tucked nicely inside. So first of all here, you can go ahead and see that we've got our Poupon shape. So now from here, you're going to go ahead and start the cuff. So you're going to chain 1, and working across the 20 unworked stitches, you're going to single crochet in each single crochet around. From there, you're going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then you're going to crab stitch across or reverse single crochet. So crab stitch, what you want to do, you insert into the previous just worked, so instead of to the left, you actually work to the right. You're going to single crochet, and then you're going to do that again. So it's a little counterintuitive. If you haven't done it before, it takes some practice. But you'll find it makes this really nice rolled finish. So as you can see here, got that nice rolled edge, and it just makes it a little tighter around your ankle. From there, we're going to go ahead and bind off and weave in any ends. All right, so we have 2 Poupons. They're almost ready to wear. Last thing we want to do is to make sure that we don't go ice skating in our own homes by adding some tread to the bottom of the Poupons. So for this, I explored a bunch of different options. Moogly has a great list of 6 different ways to add treads to the bottom of the slippers, and I will add that link to the description box below. What I ended up doing was using Plastidip to add a nice plastic tread. My aunt said that her grandmother used to sew on leather, which is a great option, but can be really difficult on the fingers. So I wanted to try a new method. So let me go ahead and show you how I did that. So here we have the Plastidip. I purchased this at a local hardware store, although I do believe that Michael's has a craft version. There were a bunch of different options at the hardware store, including not only the spray can, but you can also get a more paint can that you can actually dip in. I opted for the spray can because I thought it'd be a little easier for application and just less messy. I also didn't know if I wanted exactly a dipped look. I was worried that it might cause too much traction and that I would just be kind of stuck every time I tried to move. So I decided to go ahead and try the spray can. What I also did this morning was outline my feet on cardboard. I then trimmed it down narrower than my foot was. I didn't need traction to go the whole way, just to make sure that I wouldn't be slipping and sliding around like an ice skater. But I made these to help give shape as I'm spraying it, to make sure that it was getting towards the bottom of it. I did find that on my test run that the shape didn't matter as much, so you can always just cut a rectangle slightly narrower than the dimensions of your foot. Okay, so the Plastidip requires 3 applications, 3 to 4, with a ½ hour apart. Make sure you do this part in a well-ventilated area because it does smell like plastic. So here's application number 1. Okay, it's been ½ hour, so time for round number 2. And number 3. Now to let dry for 4 hours. Here they are. They're done. Really happy with how they came out. They're warm and squishy, and they have that exact feeling of comfort that I was looking for. The Plastidip on the bottom is subtle in appearance, but still does the exact trick that I was looking for, preventing me from sliding around the wood floors of my apartment. I'll go ahead and link my website below where you can find the pattern for free, and a printable PDF will be available on my Ravelry for sale. If you make a pair, please share with me on my Ravelry and Instagram, which will also be available in the description box below. I'd love to see what you come up with. This is my first video, so first of all, thank you for sticking around and watching it. If you're so inclined, like and subscribe. I'm going to try to make more of these. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.